This week's episode was another 15 out of 10 banger, you guys. We got a whole bunch of callbacks to season 2, which is honestly one of my favorite seasons of AOT, though I can't really think of one that isn't at least decent overall. But anyways, Attack on Titan, episode 11, final season. We see a lot of stuff in this episode, a focus on Gabi and Falco, which is awesome. Once again, the remnants of Sasha's passing, which I think is a really cool aspect so far in this series, in this season in general, and some other things about Zeke. We'll get into that later at the end of the video, but this is my first impressions series, my breakdown analysis series, where I give my kind of first reaction and analysis of the episode when it comes out. So if you don't like that and you want something more review based, come check back in Wednesday, subscribe and ring the bell. We'll have a more analytical review based episode where we get into the nitty gritty details of the episode and discuss. So we start off the episode with Gabi freaking out in her cell. Falco's like, hey, come over here, check on Gabi. Well, it turns out it's a little bit of a trick by Gabi and they are able to escape. Gabi is very interesting in this episode, as we'll discuss more and more, because she believes that they were going to kill them anyways, basically execute them. And she seems to be so hurt in this episode that she's taking it out on, once again, these devils, she calls. Of course, we're talking about the Eldians and the people of Paradis, but she doesn't really have much perspective on who the Paradisians are, what they are like. And through this episode, really this focuses on Gabi learning about the Paradisians and what they do and the people they are. An interesting line, though, is Gabi says she can't believe anyone anymore. Well, she says with Falco, she says Gabi and Falco as themselves, they can't believe in anyone anymore, which I find very interesting, as I think this may be an episode, I'm going to put out a theory now and say this may be the episode that starts Gabi and Falco on the path to becoming the morally centered figures of this series, not on the side of the Paradisians, not on the side of Marlians, but on the side of the people that want peace. And I'm going to be honest, I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. And then we see a short scene where Reiner wakes up, and just like, what was it, episode 2 this happened? A very similar scene. He wakes up and he tells them that he's heard the voice of Gabi and Falco. Maybe there's some sort of connection between Reiner beyond just being friends. Maybe there's something more. Then we see Gabi and Falco at a flowing stream, and this scene was beautiful. The colors were so vibrant. This whole season so far has been very brick-ish kind of colored, very brown, brooding red colors. And this was more of a return to form that you would see in season 2 with the lush greens and the forestry, which is one of the reasons why I think season 2 looks so good to this day, is because of that different color style it has, even from season 1 and season 3. To me, visually speaking, that season really stands out. And this episode really had a lot of invocation of season 2 that I really quite enjoyed throughout the whole thing. So they're at this stream and Falco wants Gabi to take off her armband, but of course she doesn't. And Gabi, though, what's really cool about this scene is Gabi is still in denial over Zeke. So much so, like she's in the stages of denial, right? At this point, she's going through all of those things, and it's so interesting to me to see Gabi go through all of these things and Falco be this character that accepts it almost for what it is, has kind of processed it much better than Gabi has. But Falco takes Gabi's armband off and they get into a fight, a little bit of a spat, and Falco's like, why are you doing this? And this here really starts the episode and what I would consider the most, like, because of Falco's voice actor, this episode really felt like, this is going to be so weird saying this, but it felt a lot like an episode of Demon Slayer, just in terms of the voice acting. Because Falco, of course, is voiced by Kamida Tanjiro, voice actor, not actress, jeez. But you get what I mean. It just had that kind of feeling to it, and later on it had some of the comedy stuff going on, which was much needed, especially with Gabi. So they get into a fight, and Gabi says that she's a good Eldian, and when they get seen by Kaya, she grabs a rock, which I find very interesting. Oh, there's actually a really cool detail before this. Gabi is on top of Falco and says to him that she doesn't want Falco to die too, which really kind of backs up, once again, the relationship they have and how close they are and how much they care for each other. I think Gabi likes Falco in her own ways. I think Falco is much more aware of that, which obviously fits his personality. Gabi not realizing how much she likes Falco in that way, I think really fits Gabi's character, because she's a dense MC. That's really what she seems like. So, Gabi and Falco are introduced to Sasha's family. Once again, through the next part of this episode, we're going to see a lot of references to Sasha throughout really a lot of season 2, and just a lot of season 2 references in this episode. And this stuff was really cool. I really liked this scene. Or these scenes. It starts out a little bit rough though. So they introduce themselves, Falco and Gabi, as Mia and Ben. Yes, guys, Ben. He used Ben. That's my name. My name is Ben too. Hi, how you doing? And this is the Blouse stables. This is Sasha's family. And Gabi goes to sit down and she's just distraught over the whole thing. She can't eat the food. Though Falco is like, hey, Gabi, you should eat it too. It's so good. And the family is just looking on like, what the hell are wrong with these kids? Of course, they think they're some abused family or something like that, some kids that ran off with each other. But she chokes down the food, oddly enough. But we do have an update on how they're using the ice burst stone technology, or well, I guess the fuel, and they were able to create a flying boat, the people of Azumabito, and of course, the people of Paradis, which is a first of its kind. So I'm sure this is going to be very useful in a future battle, especially knowing what's going to probably happen in the next couple episodes, which is more fighting. So, Shinganshina is evacuated again, but the really good thing about this next scene is that it really shows how the people are on the side of Eren Yeager, and Hange having trouble counteracting that and being the good leader that she's supposed to be, because one of the people in the crowd is like, just tell us to believe in you, give us a reason to believe in you, which is, for Hange, she didn't really do anything after saying that. She just kind of gave her explanation and left. And the thing is, the people understand her position and what she's doing. They just need to have that reassurance from Hanji. And Hanji didn't seem to give that to them in the way they wanted to. And I think that's because we're showing once again, Hanji is not exactly built for this role. She's just filling in for the guy before her, right? So it's kind of sad for Hanji, but it is what it is. So we see Holger, Wim, Lewis, and Flocht. They all linked info about Eren, so that's fun. They're thrown in cells eventually. But Floch and the others, basically, what I got out of this scene is that Floch, especially in these group of 4 people, they believe in power. And that is very frightening because, as we've seen in Marley's case, having power does not lead to good things. So with Floch being Floch and these other people being kind of the poster boys for Eren Yeager, of him seceding and controlling the Survey Corps and the leader, being the leader of humanity and becoming the commander, because of that, it really just seems like they want power. Because they even say, like, the only way that we're going to get through this is the rumbling. Hanji replies very smartly the same way that I feel, which is basically like, we don't know. We don't actually have a clue what this means yet, what the rumbling is and does and how effective it will be. And Floch is like, no, release him now. You have to release him now. Floch is kind of an asshole. I don't like Floch. Hanji remembers the words of, I think it's Pastor Nick? Is that his name? I can't remember. Basically saying, even if the main actor leaves, another will fill the role. Good luck, Hanji. And that's really wearing on our mind. So this, once again, backs up that Hanji's really having trouble filling this role. It's causing a lot of conflict, which is not good. So we see a short scene with Lewis, basically reveals that she was saved by Mikasa in season 1, and she's acting very friendly towards Mikasa because of this, but Mikasa is like, no, you can shut your mouth, basically puts a stop to that. But when she turns around, when she's leaving, she turns around to look at Lewis. She's doing the Survey Corps pose with the fist to the heart and the arm in the back. Mikasa starts to have flashbacks back to her parents being killed and Eren saving her and saying everything's going to be all right, which that's kind of an ominous scene to have for Mikasa. And the fact that she had like a headache from it maybe means that she was hiding that away in her memories, which if so, holy crap, Mikasa is going to be going through some crazy shit in the rest of this episode, in my opinion. Probably questioning a lot of Eren and his stances on things and what Eren meant to her through this whole thing anyways. So, oh god, that's going to be fun to watch. We see Pixies is questioning Yelena. He's very wary of Yelena, that she's conspiring with Eren Yeager. But, for Pixies, it doesn't matter. Pixies is just like, even though this is like a, terrible context, of course, I am glad to see a beautiful woman in person. Which, okay, yeah, I get it. Yelena's pretty, so I could understand that. She's also really tall, which, as we know with internet memes these days, that means she's in, you know? This next scene was needed. This is Gabi and Falco. They're in the horse stables, and Gabi sort of kind of gets trolled by the horse. The horse bites onto her head, which from the horse's perspective, all he's seeing is, or she, I guess, seeing the top of her head. She's just sweeping away, and she slips, falls, bucket lands on her head. This was a tongue-in-cheek way to say, hey, she killed Sasha. This is kind of her comeuppance in many ways, is that the horse that Sasha probably, in the stables, that probably Sasha helped clean and take care of, is getting back at Gabi, which, that's pretty cool. I thought that theme throughout was really nice to see. It was really lighthearted too. It was a good way to play on the fact that, hey, Gabi did a really bad thing. Kaya comes by for lunch. Kaya tells them that this whole place is all orphans, and then basically reveals that she knows that they've been Marleyans from the start, and because of that, Gabi gets a pitchfork and tries to go and kill Kaya in broad daylight, and I'm just like, damn girl, you ain't got no chill. Calm down. But the next scene is really important here because Kaya shows them their home, and this is another flashback to season 2, a really pivotal moment in season 2, this setting, and I'm glad we returned to it. Once again, all the colors, all of the art, how it was all the backgrounds were animated, tremendous, absolutely beautiful. This is where Kaya's mother was eaten alive in season 2, and Kaya asks Gabi what her mother did when Gabi quips up that, hey, the reason your mother died is because of your sins. You did this to yourself, Kaya. You deserve this. That's pretty much what Gabi was doing. Gabi has no chill this episode. That's all I gotta say. No manners either. Very rude girl. At least the Eldians. Marleyans, she's chill. But this puts into perspective for Gabi how flawed her logic has been and how brainwashed she's been. Because Kaya's like, why are you, like, what did my mother do to deserve this? And Gabi's like rattling off these things that she was told by people in school and the military for years, which is, you slaughtered people for thousands of years. And it really puts into perspective for Gabi that was then, this is now, and these people have done pretty much nothing. At every turn, Gabi's logic is basically being harshly challenged by Kaya's words, because Gabi is seeing an example of a person up front who's done nothing wrong and didn't deserve any of this, and she has good reason and merit to not be punished for this because she did nothing. Falco tells her that, hey, the whole reason this happened is because it was a scouting thing, and that, I think, gives Kaya some closure. We'll have to see in the next episode what that exactly means. But we see a flashback where Sasha saved Kaya, which was a really nice scene, because that was one of the best episodes in season 2, was that episode with Sasha saving everybody from the village. We see at the very end, Kaya wants to return Gabi and Falco home. Now, I know a lot of people watching this video right now, or that watched the episode, will probably say that's a really bad decision. Actually, that's probably a good decision. And the reason is because Kaya and all these people show to Gabi and Falco their side, right? And so I think after this episode, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Gabi and Falco are going to be on neither of these sides. They're not going to be on Paradis' side. They are not going to be on the Marleyan side or even the Eldian side. They're going to pick for the people, for what's just, for what's right. And I hope we get to see them in some central positions, because that would be really nice. And then we end with an after credits scene, so if you didn't watch this, you should go back and watch it. They find out that Zeke betrayed them, and Reiner wants to attack them now because of this. And I agree. They should probably go in for the attack right now, because they'll be back within 6 months after training these new soldiers. This is a really good episode. And I know the last 2 or 3 episodes have been disappointing for a lot of people. I understand why. Not a lot of action, but a lot of these talk episodes are extremely important, and to me are just as good, if not better, than those, super hype action moments. So we have to really respect these things, and we have to pay attention to these things, because this episode, I guarantee you, people's reaction to this episode was that it was a good episode, and they were not complaining that there was a lot of dialogue. And that is because this episode was great, and I loved it. It had a lot of great flashbacks and callbacks, and has a lot of stuff for the future and for the rest of the season that is going to be kind of crazy. So What did you guys think about this episode? Attack on Titan, final season, episode 11. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Put down the comments below. Subscribe and ring the bell. I got a Patreon page. You should probably check that out because we're going to be revamping it soon. And I got a bunch of new content up there that I put up the other day. So go and check that stuff out if you haven't already. Do all the things I said before. Have a good day, guys. See you later. Bye.